Okay, well, on the way to Ottawa, just outside of Richmond now, the village of Richmond. Um, After Richmond, we go through Fallowfield, then we go into Bell's Corners, and then I get on to the Hunt Club Road, it's called, and that'll take me to the road that the bird rescue was on. I'm not going to tell you the name of that road because I noticed on their website they don't give an actual street address. They just give a post office address in Nepean, Ontario, which is part of Ottawa, which is basically on the west end of Ottawa. So I know from knowing people who have run cat rescues, a lot of the time rescue organizations don't want their address out there. And the reason for that is they don't want random packages containing animals left on the doorstep. Like in this particular case, I called the man, I had a conversation with him. I explained what's going on with the bird to the best of my ability. He agreed with me that the bird is in need of assistance and that they can provide that assistance. And so he gave me the address. So I've been entrusted with the address so that I can deliver this bird. But that doesn't mean that I have the authority to put the address out there when they themselves aren't putting it out there. And like I say, because I've known people who had cat rescues, and I even did some driving at one point, picking up animals for cat rescue and stuff, I know that they're hesitant to give their address. They just put it out there in general because they don't want like boxes of kittens appearing on the doorstep where they don't know what's going on or anything. So, they want to be able to decide, are we able to help in this situation? And are we able to, are we able to, and are we willing to, and do we have the space and the resources and so on to do it? And that's a decision that only they can make. Anyway, I'll tell you a story, though, about a chip wagon in the village of Richmond that I used to stop at quite often. It was ran by an older couple, and really good chip wagon. You couldn't beat their French fries. I'll tell you, some of the best French fries you'd ever have, you get there. And when I would go to Ottawa, I would often stop there on my way home and get myself an order of fries, Now, the lady of the couple was very nice, but you could tell she was a nervous wreck. She was just very jittery. She was just constantly, we're coming into a construction zone here. She was constantly, you could just tell she was a nervous wreck, always on edge. Oh, here we go. There's a flag man up here. This is weird how they do this now. I'll show you what they do here. They're in a car. There's nobody standing by the road. There's a car. And they got a signal light. And they got isn't that neat? That's different. So you don't have a guy standing on the road with a stop sign anymore. You got that. Anyway, here's the thing. He was a prick. He was just a real prick anyway. And nasty to deal with. I was standing there one time waiting for my fries, and this teenage girl come along, and she was eating ice cream. Okay. Well, I don't know what's going on. I guess I'll follow him. He's driving ahead. Anyway, this teenage girl come along. She was eating ice cream, and she'd spilled some on herself. And she asked him if he could give her a napkin. And he just snapped at her. He said, "Why don't you go back wherever you got that and get a napkin from them?" That's what he said, And that's how he was. Anyway, that man, he had an affair. He got hooked up with this woman, this young woman, quite a bit younger than he was, and he had an affair with her. Promised her the kingdom. He had done fairly well for himself. He was a fairly successful businessman in the area, and he'd made some money, and he'd done fairly well for himself. And anyway, he just promised her the kingdom. Basically, he's going to leave his wife, and everything he had was going to be hers. Which, of course, it'd be half of everything he had, because obviously, if he left his wife, she'd be entitled to half of whatever. But anyway, this is really weird. He's just driving ahead here, and I'm just following him. I have no clue what's going on, but I'm just going to keep following him. He hasn't indicated that I shouldn't be. He hasn't stuck his hand out the window or anything, so I'm going to guess that I'm doing right by following him. Anyway, okay, I see what's happening now. There's an intersection here, so he's motioned for them to go ahead. Okay. Well, I'm going to keep following him and see what he does. That's all. Oh, okay. Anyway, we got through that. That was different. I'd never had that experience before in the construction zone. That's a completely different setup than anything I've ever seen before. It works. I mean, you can't argue with success. If it works, then who am I to say it's stupid? I don't think it's stupid. It's just different. That's all. And I took a little bit of getting used to. I had to kind of learn as I went there. But anyway, it ends up that you can be sleeping with somebody. You can be doing the most intimate things imaginable with another person and still not know what that other person is capable of. Anyway, he found out. He thought she was weak, and in a way she was, because obviously she was mentally disturbed to do what she ended up doing. But she wasn't weak in the way he thought she was. He thought that she was going to literally take her screwing and then just go away. That didn't happen. One day he's walking across a parking lot in Richmond, and this lady had a Jeep. She saw him. By that time she knew the score. She knew that the keys to the kingdom were not going to be hers. She knew that he had basically, literally and figuratively, thrown a screwing into her. And she wasn't having it. And she was a mental case. So what did she do? She mowed him down with her Jeep and killed him. That was it for him. No more him. It was like, yeah, fuck me, fuck you. Mowed him down with the Jeep and killed him. Anyway, so there you go. Mowed him down with the Jeep and killed him. And they're putting all new poles in along here is what they're doing. Mowed him down with the Jeep and killed him anyway. So, since then I've been back to that chip wagon, not in a long time, probably not in 20 years, but I had been back since. And the man's wife was a completely different person. Like, still a nice person, but very relaxed, just a completely different, not on edge, not all nervous, and, walking on eggshells and everything. So I think her life improved quite a bit due to his death. So see, right there, you got a long-suffering person married to a prick, and not only that, an adulterous prick. And but in the end, she prevailed anyway. Now, this was an older couple back then. I gotta figure she's probably either dead or retired by now, and So she probably isn't running that anymore. I can't imagine that she is, although she could be, I suppose, but she'd be about 90 years old likely if she is, you know, but that's not to say she isn't. Anyway, oh, what a mess. Here's this damn turning circle again. Anyway, I'm going to shut this down now, but the point I was trying to make is, you know, you can be doing the most intimate things with another person and not really know that person. Have virtually no idea about that person. I hate turning circles. I really do. Anyway, you can have, those are all new houses along here too. These are new. Never saw these before. Those just sprung up out of nowhere. Anyway, bottom line is, we're in the village of Richmond now. Bottom line is, you know, you can know somebody that intimately and not really know them. He underestimated that crazy woman. He thought he was just going to use her and throw her away, and what's she going to do? Well, he found out. He found out what she was going to do. Anyway, but we're going to stop up ahead here. I'm going to stop up at the convenience store because I need to check my transmission fluid and to have a look at my lines. I don't want to go any further before I do that. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Yeah. The parking lot where the man was killed is actually right here at this mall. That's where it is, right there. That's where the man was killed, right in there, by his crazy girlfriend who he was having the affair with. And up there's a car at the chip wagon. There's the chip wagon. That's the chip wagon there. Anyway, that's the chip wagon. All right, I'm going to shut this down and we'll start a new video shortly. I just need to check. I need to check my transmission lines, though. I do. I really need to check my transmission lines. Oh, rough road. Okay. All right. We'll see you later.